a little bit. But what a wild week, man. Phew. I don't know. I guess I'm still processing all of it because I got to say, like, I was kind of, you know, wasn't real happy on, was it
Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Like there was it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually uh, fiddling around on the computer, and my brother called me. He's like, "Hey, did you see him? Like, see what?" I said, "Trump just got shot on live
It's
TV." I'm
Yeah.
like, "What?"
insane.
So of course I
Yeah.
spent the next few hours in front of the TV trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. You know what? It's weird. These are the times where I'll actually watch cable news.
Hmm.
Like actually, and I'll
Right.
flip between Fox and CNN because
Same here.
Fox is, like kind of my go-to, but watching CNN, like try to paint Trump in any kind of like have to talk about Trump in any sympathetic way was pretty good. It's
Yeah, but it
pretty.
didn't take him long to start blaming him for the shooting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it was
It
really
was
hard
so
for them
weird. That's so
to
horrible.
just admit that like he might be human and like
Yeah,
have a
when they're
family
like,
that cares about him.
when they're like, his violent rhetoric probably brought this on. I'm like, hey, why don't you go downtown and blame all the rape victims for their skirts being too short too?
Well, they do.
Yeah,
They
man.
do. They do. They do that.
You know,
That is a
we
thing.
understand in
What was
polite
she
society you're
wearing?
not supposed to do that, and
I'm just saying that's a not maybe not a good comparison.
but I mean
Well, I mean, no, it's fair.
he turned
But
his head at the exact right moment.
yeah. Well, it's more like when they decide what to find, criminal, like what is okay, what's not okay. It's
Yeah,
like they just waver back and forth, you know.
I saw I put on Chris, you may have seen on my page. Um, there's an acronym we have in the Army called OACOC. It sounds weird, I get it, but it's learned by every cadet that's going to get a commission. And it's an acronym for terrain analysis. Obstacles, avenues of approach, key terrain, observation in fields of fire, and cover and concealment. Any junior year ROTC cadet could have done a terrain analysis of what they were doing out there and said, hey, maybe we should have that roof covered.
Right.
One would hope that the Secret Service is at least as competent as a pre-commissioned ROTC cadet, but I guess not.
Did you see the lady who sells merch talking? She's, I guess, been selling merch for Trump before he was ever president. She's been at his rallies selling merch. She's like a merch vendor. And she said everything was different. When they pulled up, every single thing was different from their liaison that like shows them around. She said they usually have like dump trucks full of gravel behind any stage that he's on. So there's like no point of contact. She said that everything was different, that they make them park their trailers like around the venue so that it kind of blocks off any type of point of contact. They didn't do that. They had them parked somewhere else. She said every single thing about that event was different.
I haven't seen that interview. I have to look for that. I haven't seen that.
Um, I mean, I have not heard that report, but I mean, and it doesn't. I mean, there's just so much
Yeah.
incompetence going on.
Well, as I said, it's sad that what we're all praying for is that the Secret Service and the security was simply grossly incompetent, and because otherwise it's something much darker.
I think. All right, let's start the episode real quick. We'll do an intro and then we'll kind of just get right into it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I want to. There was that video of the Secret Service sniper that took him out. That first day was real weird to see, but then it started to make a little bit more sense anyway. But anyway, I guess I'll record to cloud. Did you post anything on our Facebook
I
group or anything?
did.
Okay, cool, cool. Thank you. Have you ever watched the show Shogun, Russ?
I have not. No.
Oh, you're about to right now. I'm gonna do the whole I'm gonna do this whole episode in Shogun accent. I'm just kidding.
And you
But I
filters
have
and that
thought
be for
about it.
Japanese
I've
Shogun gear.
done today in the car. I did several run throughs of the intro in Shogun accent.
Oh, come on.
I don't really do the costume stuff, mostly just the
Do it.
accent.
Let's just go for it.
Maybe
I've
later
got a
this
picture of you in
spring.
my head with a Japanese battle helmet and you with the mustache that
I'll tell you what, if you
Remember
look
when
through
that was
my
an
Facebook,
emoji and they got rid of it? They got
no,
rid
I
of
don't
it in
remember that.
2020. There was an Asian emoji and he had a little, like a cap on and he had a little full Asian
oh yeah, Facebook
facial
got rid of
hair
the
and they
ninja.
literally got rid of that emoji. He's gone.
I remember
I'm
the
pretty
ninja.
sure the Facebook Messenger on just your browser got rid of the ninja. You could probably have it on your phone still because it's your
I'm looking
phone.
for it right now.
Racist. That's
But
what's
now I'm talking about
racist.
on my computer in the Chrome browser because I tried to use Ninja today and it just didn't come up in relation to Shogun. So it's
I
like
need to hear you say good evening, endless ranters.
good evening. They're just so like everything is just so disgusted with everything. I love it. Okay,
All right.
3, 2, 1. Good evening, Endless Ranters. Welcome back for episode 197 of your Endless Ranters podcast. We do what we want and we appreciate your support. My name is Chris and I'm an online bullying survivor. A poignant moment. And one of your hosts for this evening. I'm joined by other hosts. It's the Soggy Mom living in a Crunchy Mom's world. It's Quana. How you doing, Quana?
White Claw.
Oh, it's
no
a White Claw
laws.
kind of.
No laws when you're drinking the claws.
Yeah, there's been some White Claw surges in the house lately, but I don't touch that stuff. No,
Yeah, good for you.
mess with my
Smart.
belly. We are joined by a very special guest tonight to discuss the real world in a more
Patriot.
serious tone. You know, to bring us down, to get us a little more serious about this crazy last week we've had. It's Russ from the Two Grumpy Bastards.
Yeah, I really appreciate the very nice way that you just called me a killjoy.
You know your role. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
No, we gotta grow up a little bit when Russ is around. Just a
Yeah.
little bit.
I didn't smoke any pot before we came on. I went to reach for it. I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
Before is like
Well,
20 minutes before.
yeah, my dad accused me of being born at the age of 80.
Came out curmudgeon.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's funny. So before we were live for a little bit there, we were talking about the events of last Saturday. Last week, I started off our show saying that declaring that Trump is back and he's coming back and everybody needed to get their shit together. And I guess this young 20-year-old nut job in Pennsylvania decided that he was going to take some action. I guess there's more information coming out about him. But Russ, you were talking about just basic ROTC cadet training for, understanding terrain and threats and, your situation,
It's a simple way of looking at terrain analysis, figuring out both your potential course of action and an enemy's potential course of action. You're analyzing the obstacles everywhere. You're analyzing what avenues of approach go in and out. You're analyzing the key terrain, what observation and fields of fire are around the area, and what the cover and concealment is. It's really basic stuff that any security agency should do. And the fact that they completely ignored that roof, and then we get some, I don't know if it's BS or just weenie explanation about them not having folks on that roof because it was sloped. I mean, like, well, the assassin made it up there.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Everybody's been in the meeting with the new guy that kind of, like he's the junior person, right? And so you don't expect much from him, but he talks himself into a corner and then like, and then you can just move on because obviously it's the new guy and you just kind of ignore his faux pas and, nervousness. But like this lady's the director of the Secret Service and she's giving weird answers that like freshman college students might give when they're late or don't have something turned in on time, like real inexperienced liars is what I'm saying. Like really, really like amateur lies.
That because I was under the impression that Trump has consistently been getting death threats and attempts on his life, and that he had his own security team. Because I heard Candace Owens say that she has her own security team, and she says that anywhere she goes, they go a couple days before and they like map everything out and it's all like taken care of. So don't you think it's also a little bit weird that like Trump's security team also didn't like deal with
I don't think
that?
if he has a
I don't.
personal security team, it'd be more like for near, like to
Yeah,
stop, physical, like stabbing or something like
Okay.
that. Like, I don't know.
yeah. I don't know enough about Trump's security team to comment intelligently on when
Okay.
how big they are, what their
I
footprint is.
feel
I
like
know the Secret
Tucker said
Service.
it one time on Corolla. I think I heard it on the Corolla show that Trump had his own security team because of death
Well,
threats or attempts.
Well,
part of
any
it
super
is
rich
like
guy is
there.
gonna have his own security detail, but that might be more immediate vicinity protection than
Right.
anything.
There's I think there might be two levels of. I mean, there could be nefarious stuff going on top of it for sure. But what we definitely know is there's like two levels of incompetence. One like macro with like planning and budgeting and cutbacks and who was staffing that detail.
Yeah.
And then two is like in the moment, there was like the communication channels obviously just didn't work.
It's
Like
so
then there were like
silly. It's so
there were
silly.
micro decisions like in the moment. Like there were
Yeah.
bad decisions made a week before and like terrible
And
decisions
then,
made in the moment because I think that the sniper that took him out, and this is not just me that thinks this, I'm kind of basing this on a lot of news and reports that the sniper that took him out had eyes on him. They're saying like they actually met, they had, like eye contact or scope contact.
Yeah.
And then in that video that was shared really early Saturday afterwards, you see the sniper, the US, the Secret Service sniper, kind of looking at something and then kind of gets startled and like jump
Yeah.
back. And then it kind of cuts away. But I think what we see is him kind of reposition himself. And then you hear like he takes the shot and puts the guy down. But he,
Right.
he was actually looking at that guy, but he was thinking that he was actually local police or
well,
was
part
on
of
the like
part
what
of the
didn't want to
problem.
just kill didn't want to kill some sheriff or something.
Well, see, part of the problem is with the way the law works. The Secret Service and their sniper teams cannot actually engage until a shot is fired. That's just the way
Right,
this is
that makes sense.
written. Because I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to think you're taking out somebody with a rifle and it turns out that they've got a telescope.
That's part of our culture. That's based on like a very like someone has to act first. Like you
Yeah.
can't just, that's just part of our
Now
ethos
I
almost.
didn't
But
I didn't see the startled part. If it was that, I need to go back and look at it again to see that.
yeah, it really
But
was weird.
I mean, given the fact that we haven't had a president or a presidential candidate shot at in any serious fashion since 1981, when John Hinckley took a shot at Ronald Reagan, um, you know, in a way, it's somewhat. I think most folks couldn't believe it would happen just because it hasn't happened for so long. They'd be like, is this real? Is this real? Is this actually going
Mhm.
on? Now you would hope people would have a better reaction, but
Oh,
as any soldier will tell you, you honest to God don't know how you will react in the moment until the moment happens.
I'm actually saying kind of the opposite and agreeing, like really agreeing with you or supporting what you're saying is that this Secret Service sniper was so sure or was like so confused that he was looking at a good guy, that he
Oh,
was looking at someone from the local police, that when he did fire off a round or eight or nine or eight, like it was like for a moment, I mean, you can kind of understand even the most trained person will be just like, why did the local sheriff just shoot at the president?
yeah.
What?
Takes a
Like
second to
you could be
process.
that kind of, yeah, like that's just so,
I don't
yeah,
understand that.
I'm
I
not
don't
saying anything bad. I'm actually saying it kind of makes sense now the way
On
they're telling the
TikTok, there's been a
story.
couple snipers that have like spoken from their own personal sniper experience of once you're trained on it, like you don't pull your eye off of it. So him pulling his eye off of it was the weird part for the
Well,
snipers that are speaking out.
the problem comes from those snipers that are speaking out. when they have their eyes trained on a target, that's a target they know they are going to engage.
But why would your eyes be trained on a sheriff? Like, why would your
Well,
eyes be trained on that target? Like that, if we're all protecting Trump and
It's very
assumably that
possible
guy is protecting Trump, why are you trained on him?
it's possible that when we hear the recordings, it's very possible that, and that's what I'm saying, like the micro mistakes were like just mixed up comms. It's very possible that that guy was like, hey, like, I don't know what they say, like, hey, headquarters, can you verify that the guy on the roof is one of ours? Like,
Well,
and then all of a
then we're
sudden, pop,
assuming
pop,
that there
pop.
is a comm, that there is a comm. So the guy that climbed the ladder and saw him also could have spoken into that same
but
system and said, "There's a guy on the roof with a gun."
from what I
Mm.
understand, no police officer climbed the ladder to
Oh,
see
I
this.
thought,
What happened? What I saw, what I read was that the police officer that did see this, that actually did get up and see the guy on the roof. There was no ladder present. He had heard that there was a guy up there, and so he actually did the old school climb on the back of one of his buddies and had his hands on the ledge and pulled himself up, which is why he didn't have his gun drawn. Pulled himself up, saw it. The guy pointed his rifle at him. He dropped back down, and like a second later, the shots started to get fired. So he didn't
I
have,
have heard
once that
that,
police
but
officer saw
that
him, he didn't have a chance to react.
yeah,
gotcha,
like,
gotcha.
at first they were saying like that happened and the police officer went down and wanted to make a phone call, but his phone died in like 10 minutes. But it's like, no, it was real quick.
Yeah.
But there was also pictures of multiple ladders that were up to the roof. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there were also people that were, from what I understand, people that were saying, hey, there's a guy up there, he's got a gun.
Yeah. Oh,
There's,
you can hear him on the ground. There's videos of people
yes.
screaming it to officers. It's
yeah.
crazy. And if you
Yeah.
think that the
There's,
communications work, like why didn't they say whatever in their
Yeah.
little thing on their shoulder?
I don't
It's
know. But
not
then,
right. Something's wrong.
the
Something's off.
one of the things that Trump said in the debate that rings true here when he said this to Biden, he said, "You don't ever fire anybody. None of the generals that were involved in the debacle and getting us out of Afghanistan got fired." To me, the head of the Secret Service here, this is a prima facie case for her getting fired, but she's not going to be because
Should have been
Biden will
immediate.
not go down the road of I'm going to fire the female head of the Secret Service.
it's not, that's 100% right. But it's also like a bigger topic is like that is a major problem all over our entire culture, society, country, like the nepotism, the failing upwards, the promoting everybody that sucks and is terrible. That is some to me, I think about the Soviet Union and the fall of the Soviet Union. People talk about the Roman Empire and all that kind of stuff and the American Empire, blah, blah, blah. But it's like that's kind of what the Soviets were doing. They were just hiring all their friends and pals and they were all living the good life and the people were toiling and eventually it all ran out. It all ran out. So, I mean, not that we're the same, but it's like, that's like to me, that's a weird marriage, just like this like institutionalized incompetence in a system like, well, they talk about systemic racism. It's like systemic incompetence, like a system that punishes good and rewards who and anyway, I'll stop talking about. But it's
In,
yeah,
in
that's
fairness, in fairness, when the Soviets did want to fire somebody, they either sent them to Siberia or they shot them.
not if he was like the good, like not if there was a good guy, not if he was the nephew of someone that was actually doing a good job.
No, but then when the new commissar took over and took out all those former enemies, I'm just saying when we fire somebody, they go off into like a cushy retirement and or the greeter at Walmart. When the Soviets fired somebody, they shot him in the head out in the back alley.
No, but we don't like. I'm talking about in like our political system, our bureaucracy. Like it is mirroring the Soviet Union in
Oh,
the
the federal
incompetence.
government and the federal bureaucracy is absolutely insane. It takes almost an act of Congress to fire a government worker who's especially if they're of a certain grade. After I believe 90 days on the job, it becomes near impossible to fire them unless you have a packet of discipline reports like this thick.
I guess the big similarity is that it's both are systems that are 0% meritocracies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
0%. So
But
it's just like it leads to disaster. It's going to lead to disaster.
yeah, well, it goes back to the old axiom within any organization because I saw it in the military. is leadership tends to promote in its own image. If they think somebody is, one of the boys, to put, the phrase to it, then they're going to promote people who look like them. And whether they have it, it is a rare leader. I've seen them, but it is rare to find a leader who will promote, actual merit and good over a form of nepotism, because they don't believe it's nepotism. They believe that,
Mhm.
okay, that since that person is like me and I'm good, they must also be good.
Yeah, because I think the head of the Secret Service was basically just on Jill Biden's detail.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, something like that.
like, oh, what a wow, what an incredible coincidence that the most qualified person to run the United States Secret Service was also a like a mid-level agent on Jill Biden's security detail just a few years ago.
It's like taking
I
the person who
mean,
runs the
wow, that is some luck, some
yeah,
good
it's like
luck.
taking the person who runs the self-checkout lanes at Walmart and making him or her the
Yeah.
manager the next
I
day.
can't believe Jill Biden gave her up. You know what I mean? Like that level
Yeah.
of
Well,
superior
look,
protection and
she
intellect.
knew what she was. She's a great doctor. She's the best doctor
Yeah,
that's ever doctored.
she
And if
is.
she
Yep.
says it, then that's the way it's going to be.
She can grade a paper like your OBGYN.
I mean, if we all, there's Dr. J, there's Dr. Pepper, there's Dr. Jill. I mean, we got to keep this
All
straight.
ladies. I mean, oh wait, not Dr. J. Just kidding.
And then like
Dr.
there's
J, the
another angle
allegedly
of the,
movie.
like what I don't really get in on the whole DEI stuff, because I think I was saying this like decades before there was DEI and all that kind of stuff. Like we just have like a major incompetence problem. Like we just like before we tried to you know, make it worse, we already had a major incompetence problem based on
Yeah,
our maybe probably our
think
public
I think
education
like Russ said,
systems,
like we're
people
all
not being able
hoping
to
that it's
think critically.
incompetence. But I think that if
Yeah.
and how you said this week, like I think that people see it, but they don't want to look at it. The looking at it, the actual looking at it, there's something, it's not right. There's something they try, the deep state,
Well,
the three-letter
it's definitely
agencies tried to
both.
kill Donald Trump. Like,
I think it's definitely both. I think it's really definitely both because if you're like going to run a conspiracy, you don't plan your conspiracy based on everyone being really competent. You kind of plan your conspiracy about like I know these MFers are really incompetent.
yeah.
Like the HR people at the Secret Service are really incompetent and you can pretty much get anything by them. So I can just get my friends to, over there and promoted and, just, it's like, yeah,
No.
if you're kind of evil, you like evil people understand people's weaknesses and faults. And, I
yeah.
guess we're like talking
I,
about con men. But
I try very hard to look at things through the maxim of never attribute to malice that which can be explained by stupidity.
yeah,
But
it's a good one.
there are some, like I
They
said,
make
this
it
was either
hard. They make it
exceptionally
hard.
gross incompetence or, they found some 20-year-old loser with a chip on his shoulder and wanted to play out, his Call of Duty fantasies. I
Or the
don't want,
CIA's been in his DMs for months, like talking to him,
well,
some girl showing her titties, like really working him up. Like, we don't know. They deleted
I'm
all his
trying
stuff.
real hard to not go down that road. I really am.
Okay.
Now, maybe I'm completely naive.
Give me your hand, Russ. Let's
I,
go.
I really don't
Let's
want to
go
go down
down
that road.
that road.
It it takes a lot for me now, in fairness, I also have seen the incompetence of the intelligence
Yeah,
agencies up
true,
close.
true.
Um, and
You've
one of
also probably seen the evil in men's hearts up closer than most also. So,
uh, most of the folks I've run into do think they're doing the right thing. They're just exceptionally incompetent at it.
mm,
And one of the
okay.
things that I always come back to when we look at when we try to look at conspiracy theories and how large they would be is I always do try to remember that this is a country that couldn't keep secret a blowjob between a fat intern and the president in the Oval Office. It
Or they
it
were done with him too, and they let it roll out. I mean,
yeah,
because
I
the
just
media only tells us what they tell us.
There's a
We
lot of
only
Linda
know what
Trips
we
out
know
there
because
still.
of what they tell us,
I will say
right?
there was a story I once heard, um, and I'm sure it would have been blown open in the age of the internet, but it was a story. Oh, it was in the mid 1920s, maybe, about Babe Ruth. that there was a train. It was a train, going between various cities for a baseball game, and Babe Ruth ran naked through this one car full of journalists, and some woman came running after him holding a knife in the air, and the journalists like looked at each other and said, "It's a good thing we didn't see that. We'd have to report it."
Yeah,
Not anymore. They can see it in plain sight and be told to not report it,
that's
and they
interesting
don't.
because
They did it for a year. They've been telling us Joe Biden's great, Joe Biden's perfect until the
Well, that
debates, and then
I believe
back,
that. That was more possible back then, I think, because there's
yeah.
20 of
Well,
them and they 20 of them collectively understand the power of the Babe Ruth story and lore, and they know like
they kept
instantly how bad it
JFK's
would
they kept
be.
JFK's affairs
Yeah.
secret. They
You
kept
just can't do it
JFK's
anymore,
affairs
yeah.
secret.
Way too many Linda Trips out there
well,
on
they
the
kept his
internet. Like,
assassination secret. That's for sure. That is 1,000,000% for sure. But I knew about his. I mean, everyone knows about it.
But I mean, in the age of internet and everybody's a podcaster, it does get you know more challenging. But then it's a matter of finding somebody that can break the story that's got credibility.
I just like if you're just aware of like regular people and how they act, and like, hey, 60% of people just walk the straight and narrow, but of the 40% that don't, like certain percentage of them do this, do that. It's like, I just assume now, like all of our politicians, past and present, legend or not, we're probably closer like to like just the regular people type, like, made a lot of mistakes, like, cursed at their kids, like, just were prone to error, like just kind of, I don't know, just
Well,
so,
let's go look
I
at
kind of lowered the expectations on them maybe.
the majority of the American public also probably 60 to 80% of the American public can be divided into two categories: the unintentionally apathetic and the willfully apathetic. Those who don't know and don't care because they're involved in other things, and then those who could know but they want to put their head in the sand. And that's most people. I mean, we,
Most.
we here are better versed because we're plugged in. We'll look at this kind of stuff we enjoy. Most of my friends outside of this, you know, they don't have a clue about any of it because they don't care. They don't put the time in. And
Yeah.
I understand they got kids going to soccer practice. They got PTA meetings. They don't want this to be part of their life.
Right.
Yeah. I can't imagine that mentality to block all this stuff out. I do go through times where I just check out for the most part. Like I don't, like I not lately, but there's been times in the last 4 or 5 years where I just kind of check out and I just don't want to have it. But I also am not so far checked out that I don't know like the general themes that are going on and like, who
I
everybody
think if
hates and
they're
who everybody loves.
if
But I still, even though I'm checked out, I still like see it through the prism of when I was checked in. So, but I can't imagine like people that don't really pay attention or they're like, who are these people that are independents and like undecideds?
Yeah,
Who
I
the,
think
who
most
are
people
these
who are,
people?
I think most people who are independent, they call themselves that because it sounds nicer. It makes them sound like they're so much more
Yeah, I
reasonable.
meant to say like the undecided. Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Most of the folks I've run into that claim that have very definite opinions that would put them in one camp or the other, but
Yeah.
they call themselves independents because, gosh darn it, they're reasonable.
Or maybe the undecideds are more like, I
right.
just haven't really decided whether I care enough to vote. Cause
Well, they might care enough to vote. I don't know if they care enough to have an informed vote.
yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I have well, part of it, I think about this, and I think that wow, there's like a low 40% of people in America that think a certain way, and a low 40-ish% of of people in America that think the exact different way.
I think they're getting different feeds. I
And that
think
is
they're
going to be
literally getting
really
different feeds.
hard. It's going to be real hard to mend unless like there's a famine or like a total blackout.
An alien
Like
invasion.
even alien invasion, I think that the aliens would probably let us keep our power, so we would keep fighting with each other. It would really take like a loss of power, a
I'm thinking
famine to
like
where,
I'm thinking like
you know,
Independence Day type of alien invasion where it's survival.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's like, can you grow food? Yes, I can. Well, we're friends now.
Yeah.
We're friends. Don't really care that, we look different. Your hair is different. We're good. You got Tylenol? I got Tylenol. All right.
Hey,
What's up, friend?
real quick. Did you ever see there's it was on a YouTube short, this comedian in New York City who was ragging on the audience about their disdain for middle America. Yeah, we love to hate on middle America, don't we? They just grow all our food. You
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
would
yeah,
die
yeah.
without him. Can't eat a podcast. There's no protein in slam poetry.
Yeah, for me,
That's true.
there's always
That's
like a
true.
new fresh comic like I've been hearing those jokes for a long time, but there is always like a new fresh comic that comes out that has to explain to like Generation Z that, like the strawberries and that aren't like they don't get produced in a factory. Like the strawberries in the packet like that you buy, or like the fresh cut salad in a bag isn't grown
It's
on a
our
tree or anything.
responsibility to teach our kids this stuff. And I think at some point, my generation of like child rearing, like they stopped doing that. Like my kids are good, like they know stuff, but I'm just so weirded out by the amount of kids that don't know things.
Hey,
It's
I
weird.
knew I was on track with my oldest when we were no, it was I don't know if it was my oldest or youngest, but they both have about the same attitude. We were fantasizing, she was fantasizing about what she would do if we won the Powerball, if we won the lottery or
Right.
something. And I'm like, what? She's like, we'd win like, it's up to 100 million now. We'd win like $100 million. And I'm like, well, the government's going to take like, 44 million of that in taxes. And she's like, they're going to take it in taxes? I hate the government. And so I know I'm on track if she's
Lesson
understanding
learned.
Raised
tax math.
right.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those moments recently with my son. He's 12, where he's like listening to Freebird on his own. You know, I walk
That's
into his
good.
room and I catch him watching Talladega Nights, unrated
Nice.
Nice.
version. I'm just
Nice.
like, and his room's a mess. I'm just like, it's okay.
I'm proud of you, son.
But yeah, I think there's a generation definitely coming up that is seeing things like the world has gotten so crazy that when they look at it, they're just like, oh, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it's remember, it used to be cool to rebel against the squares. Now rebellion is being a square.
Yeah, yeah. I think like when just not to get into all that subject, but like when the alphabet movements were like kind of beating around the bush,
Hmm.
you know, they actually made a lot of progress. But when they started just come straight out saying like, yeah, men can have babies, like what? Then that's when like the younger generation stumbles upon that stuff and they're just like, whoa, that's
See, and I think
crazy.
that's the
And now
media pushing the
they
fringe
reject.
upon us
Oh,
to create
of course it is.
division. That's not real.
I've had
Like,
enough conversations with
Well,
folks who
it's
bought into
not
that
all the
mess.
media. It's not all the media. There's a lot of money in that industry that there's a lot of money. It's not the media, it's hospitals, it's doctors and
Drug
all these
yeah.
companies.
places. Yeah, that,
Yeah.
but I mean, then you say the media, they're all kind of one and the same because
Hmm.
they fund it all. But
Big pharma
yeah,
at the back of
yeah.
all of it.
But I think things have gotten so weird that when young kids stumble upon the internet and they see like people with purple hair telling them that, just bizarre stuff that's just gone a little bit too far, like
Yeah.
then things like snap back and
Yeah.
it'll all happen all over again, but it's going to snap back, I think
It's a pendulum.
now.
It's a
So.
pendulum. It'll go far one way. It's starting to come back the other way. And then, I mean, who knows, maybe we'll all be Puritans in 75 years, start to come back the other
Yeah.
way.
Handmaid's Tale. Trump's bringing back the Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, well, you
So
saw they turned the Washington Monument into a big cross, right?
I didn't.
No,
You
no,
didn't
no, I
see
didn't.
that Biden campaign flyer that it had in front of the Washington Monument, which was a big cross, like a sea of the women in the red handmaid's tales outfits.
Jeez Louise. It's so insane. He was already president for 4 years and you
I,
weren't put into the Handmaid's Tales, you dumb bitches.
I
yeah,
think
well,
they should take that all that Handmaid's Tale nonsense and like go up to
So
Canada and start
crazy.
fantasizing because Canada's like real weird. Like Canada's like
Yeah,
a coin toss away from getting real like close to Handmaid's Tale with all their,
right.
just real, they're getting real upside down up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Arab
America's
spies
too
more than
violent.
their prime minister.
I have a
America's way too violent to let a Handmaid's Tale happen. Even our women are like, pretty violent now.
I
So
got into a
that's
real
not.
big argument with a buddy of mine that I served with because he was like, "You see this thing from Project 2025? They're going to take all this stuff away from veterans." And me being the absolute dork that I am, of course, I've read through Project 2025, and I start challenging him like, "I've read through this stuff. Can you point to the page number that I missed?" And they're like, "Well, look, Trump was at the Heritage Foundation in 2022." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
he's playing to a crowd because he needed conservative bona fides in order to." Get the nomination because at that point it wasn't certain he was going to be able to get the nomination. If anyone thinks Trump is a nuanced policy guy, they haven't been paying attention.
Right.
Plus, like Quana said, we've got 4 years of Trump's presidency to compare to this. He didn't
My
start
father
World
is
War
a
III.
retired Vietnam veteran, and I'm telling you, the VA benefits that he had in Trump's administration are so different from before and after.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
it's changed.
he's not changing vet benefits. He didn't start World War III. He didn't, put women into the Handmaid's Tale outfit. We've got 4 years to go off of. So this
You could
this
still get
shit
an
isn't
abortion
working.
if you want to, ladies. It's still fine. Let your
Go to,
state
go to
decide.
Well,
California if that's what you want.
let
Go
me
to
explain
Vermont.
something.
Go to New York.
The magic of Trump is that he is both a mastermind evil genius who can plan a 4-year presidency where he doesn't name himself emperor. He planned that he would lose the election in very dodgy circumstances, be accused of all kinds of crimes, and
Ridiculous.
then he would magically plan for Joe Biden to ramp up his Alzheimer's, and then he would then be a shoe in for a second term 4 years later. Because like this is,
Yeah.
you plan real far ahead when you're 80, and
Yeah.
then he's going to round everybody up and name himself emperor,
Well, my thing when I'm talking
or he's a moron who can't run a business, who ran a casino into the ground in New Jersey, and
Oh yeah.
his his
yeah.
dad
Trump
gave him
college. He had
500.
some college thing, right?
Well, his dad gave him $500 million, and he failed terribly by turning that into like $4 or $5 billion. And he's just a real loser idiot that bought his way into college, and he's just really stupid. But he's also an evil mastermind genius. But he's
Yeah,
also really stupid.
that's a
Yeah.
big part of what the
That's his
you
magic.
can almost see the glitch go on when you talk to people about this because I've engaged folks who are like, he's an evil genius. He's also a doofus. I'm like, he can't be both. He's
Yeah.
either a doofus or he's an evil genius.
Right.
Try and figure out. Pick a side. I'll talk with you about whatever side you want to pick, but
Hear
you
me
got to pick a
out
side.
though. Could it be like the cornucopia in the fruit of the loom? Like I grew up loving Donald Trump. Like the way I say I love him, like I loved him on The Apprentice. I loved him when he was on Oprah. He was on Letterman all the time. Regis and Kelly. I love their relationship, the birthdays and all the things. Like I grew up in a generation that loved Donald Trump. Like I loved him. So it was it seemed natural that I love him. So maybe it's like that though. Like maybe some people grew up where he was this person that we had somebody
I,
on the happy hour tonight that told me something that I have not heard. And when I say I'm on the internet, I'm fucking on the internet. I'm on all of it. And I did not even know this thing that he was telling me that is they're saying about JD Vance. Like I haven't even heard it. Hasn't even been in any of my feeds.
well, I think the
So
Democrats are kind of falling down on the job because so far we don't have any women coming forward to accuse JD of rape and necrophilia and stuff. So I mean,
yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's
Mhm.
I'm waiting for that to come up.
They're
yeah.
gonna wait till he's the vice president for like.
No, it's going to wait till like the 1st of October. No, yeah, the most folks, especially in the media, loved Donald Trump until he came out as, he was going to run for president as a Republican.
Yeah.
And folks say, well, how did that happen? Well, I'm old enough to remember when George W. Bush was Chimpy McBush Hitler, and when Ronald Reagan supposedly flooded the LA streets with crack cocaine.
Yeah.
And George H.W. Bush was the Antichrist who was going to start World War III. I mean, this is nothing new. It's
Yeah.
whoever the Republican nominee is going to be branded as Satan incarnate.
Right.
I think what's troubling, what really broke the brains of the political class is and the media class is not that they love Donald Trump, but they were in a very because they understand that they were in a use and get used relationship with Donald Trump. They didn't love him, but they were in a really weird sick media world of it's good for me to be around this guy. Like, and then he is also like,
You think Regis was
uh,
like that? Regis and Letterman? I feel like they
Yeah, but I
to
really
say, did you
love
some
ever see his
him.
appearance
to
on David
some
Letterman
I
back in
mean,
the
not
late 80s?
I'm saying not everyone, not
Okay.
every single person. I'm
Okay.
sure like a couple of them had maybe some real relationships, but they realized that it was good for business to have Trump around. Like, and I don't think Regis was like a real big fan of like poon hounding
I can remember
supermodels and
Oprah
stuff
being
like
kind of
that. But
like, oh my gosh, like everybody
yeah,
was
because
like,
it was
he
Quanta,
good.
was
Quanta,
Oh
okay.
yeah, yeah, there might have been some like there is like a definitely like an attraction thing too, but
Yeah.
but I think that the media got busted because NBC realized that we were in business with this guy and we were using him to make a lot of money, even though we know he's kind of a he's
icky.
whatever. And then he was like using them to make a lot of money and like make himself famous. And they
Yeah,
realized that they had been in this decades long sick relationship with this
The Apprentice was my favorite
mogul.
show. I'd watch it again if
And
you
then
brought
I
that
think
back
that
after all this.
I think that broke them, and that's what led a lot of those guys like Mike Barnacle or Joe Scarborough to go from loving him to wanting him dead in like
I, I
a
think
month, like
I think Joe Scarborough got corrupted because he's a cuck to his wife.
that. And I guess they're saying that he really thought that he was going to he thought he was going to be a part of like the Biden administration, or I'm sorry, the Trump administration. Like he thought he was going to get invited into Trump world because again,
Well,
that's what's important to them. There's no
Yeah.
morals or principles. It's like what's going to make me like a baller, you know?
Quanta, did you see his appearance on Letterman in the late 80s talking about Ed
Yeah.
Koch?
Yes.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that, Chris?
I don't, well,
Oh,
I probably did because I was the kid that stayed up every night to watch Letterman at like
Oh yeah.
11:30
Every
Eastern, but
night.
yeah.
YouTube it if you get the
No, no,
chance.
no, 12, sorry, 12:30 Eastern.
YouTube it if you get the chance. He hasn't
Let's
changed
post
his
it in the
rhetoric
group.
like at all. Because
Not
Letterman
even a
said,
little
"So what
bit.
do you think about Ed Koch?" He's like, "He's a terrible mayor. He's been one of the worst mayors ever. He's letting the crime run everywhere. Somebody else should take his job." And I'm sitting here like, is this 1988 or is this 2018?
Yep.
I'm glad you
And then
said that. That's
Giuliani
a good
came in and fixed
example.
it. Yes.
That's a good example because one of the reasons I like Donald Trump because to me like the apprentice times that wasn't really like I really wasn't a huge fan of that because
That was like his
like
retirement era though, right? I always just thought it was like,
well
oh, it
I
was so fun
watched
to see him.
I think I watched the first couple seasons but then I kind of got sick of reality TV and then you realize everything's kind of
Yeah.
like fixed everything's kind of produced and fixed up so you just stop but I didn't really but I remember when I was much younger he would be on Oprah or he would be on talk radio. I would listen to talk radio with my dad in the car talking about how China was eating our lunch. And he would
Yeah.
always talk about it in a way, the same way that my dad would talk about it, that it wasn't like an evil thing. It was like we're also letting ourselves being taken advantage of. And like the China and like Donald Trump would talk about it like in a way where it's like the Chinese, it would be stupid for them not to take advantage of us. We're giving away everything. And like he
Right.
would
Yeah.
kind of like he would rag on them, but also in a way
Admire.
where it was also respectful
Yeah.
to where it's like, oh, okay. Because it isn't like it
He's
doesn't
always
need to
been pro
be
USA,
well, and
you
he's like,
know?
or it's like, or pro win. Like I think as a businessman, you're always like pro win win. Like win win is good, in business, in a building, in politics or whatever. Like create situations where everybody wins, not situations where, well, we get what we want, but a bunch of Ukrainians die. Like that's not really that's like a loss in the long run. So I don't know. I think that's it. That's Donald Trump's outlook. It always has been. So that's why I like him now.
I
So
mean,
that's it.
look, I I freely admit I was not the biggest fan in 2016. Um, I still have, some moments where I wish he would dial it down a little bit. Not to like a zero, but from an 11 to say an 8 would be nice.
Yeah.
Uh, but especially given the choices we have right now, the when folks try to give it me, I'm like, look,
So you
I can
voted for
piss and
Hillary? Is that what I'm saying? Is that what we're hearing?
what's that?
You voted for Hillary? Is that
No,
what
I did
we're hearing?
not. I
Okay.
absolutely did not.
Okay.
As
I was like, whew,
no,
wasn't prepared for this night.
He's like,
no,
strap
Russ
me
did
to a
not
lie
vote for
detector
Hillary.
right now.
No, you might as well have accused me of having, a penis
Well,
growing on
you
my
just said
forehead.
I wasn't a fan in 2016. I was like, well,
I
I
wasn't.
mean,
Part
okay.
of it was because I didn't believe he actually. I thought he was playing to the crowd, and I didn't think that he would actually enact some of the policies he was talking about. Because
Gotcha.
it was too scripted, I thought. Plus, again, Trump. One of a podcaster I listened to put it beautifully. Trump is a hammer. Sometimes he hits a nail, and it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes he hits a baby, and it's not so great. I just wanted him to kind of retool a little bit. But no,
But
I would
isn't
have
it
rather.
perfect, like the non-politics part of him that sees it so mechanically from running businesses and owning businesses and seeing how people works and putting deals together, how he made the political arena different. Like his ideas, maybe they were far-fetched in 2016, but he kind of put them together, didn't he? I
If
mean,
Yeah, but I mean, I
if
don't
you're
want.
a new CEO at a corporation and you come in and that corporation is struggling or is just kind of mediocre, like you can start on day one with like big themes, but it just takes a long time for those big themes to like work its way down and like to like the rank and file to change the culture of an organization.
right.
And Trump just he didn't have the juice to do it. He didn't have, I think he
Or
like
the swamp is just so
or he
sticky,
didn't, yeah, like the swamp is just way is not a business, like
maybe bigger than
is
he
just
thought it
a
Well,
was, or
but
I think he'll
bargained
be
for.
much better
example,
prepared this time. And also, I think the American attitude. So, because when Trump won the first time, he didn't have a mandate, far from it, and he
he's
was
gonna
already a
this
Russian
time.
spy.
Yeah,
And everybody he tried to nominate for a cabinet position was destroyed with for the pettiest things. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you
right,
didn't pay your maid overtime in 1987. You can't be the treasury sec. You know, like stuff like real
right.
petty stuff to where people and then like at some point like during his administration like the smartest people they're not going to want to work for him
Yeah,
because because they yelled at their girlfriend in college and they don't want that shit to
right.
come like they don't want to be
And this
destroyed but this
sink rolls
time
downhill or whatever, like, like I think that
yeah
people want
yeah
to
they don't want to be
distance
attached to
themselves
that.
from it.
I think
It is.
this time when he appoints people and the New York Times says, "Oh my goodness, this guy he snuck into a movie theater when he was in high school." Everybody's going to be like, "Shut up. That's a better reason. Put that guy in the position.
Yeah,
Shut up, you nerds. Let's get going." And they're not going to have
yeah,
it, I think. And it's like
I
We're
hope
also
it
so.
could actually things could be a little bit too rough, to be honest with you.
we're also seeing a more grown up version of Trump
Yeah,
over the last
that's
6 to 8 months. I mean, look, a perfect example of one of the things that just made me shake my head
He's
in
80.
2016. I don't know if I don't know if y'all remember this. Trump was being accused of being anti-immigrant and anti-Hispanic and all this other stuff. And to counter it, he had a picture of himself in front of a taco bowl where he had proclaimed the caption proclaimed, "I love Mexicans." That's one of the things that just kind of makes you cringe just a little bit. But he's not doing
yeah.
that
But
now.
like Kylie and I talked about today, like she showed me a picture of Eric Trump. He was sitting getting his hair face done with his daughter before she made her little speech. And he said getting sexy with her. He used the word sexy and she's like, and it's like I said, yeah, like dads are cringe. Like dads are cringy. They say cringy things, they do cringy things. Like he's a real dad. He does cringy and says cringy things.
Well, I would like I want like not everybody remembers, but around the time of like it makes me think about the Ross Perot, like that bill 1992, I think it was Bill Clinton, Ross Perot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people were like for decades before Trump came along, um, people were saying like, wouldn't it be great if like some rich guy
Yeah.
would run to be the president, and he didn't need the money from the lawyer, the tort reform lawyer or whatever. He didn't need the money from big pharma. He didn't need the money from big oil. He was already really popular, and he had plenty of money, and his
Yeah.
popularity was like a big part of like that's why he doesn't need AT&T's money and like whatever
Right.
Comcast money back then.
Right.
And then as soon as we got that very exact person, everybody's just like Hitler, 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 Russian agent, Russian, like,
Yeah.
Hillary. It was the
oh,
Clintons. She did
Well,
that.
you also got to remember, you're looking at one man who's outside of that. I don't care what position he holds. The president is not an emperor. And when everybody else in the government who has power, whether it's part of the federal bureaucracy, part of Congress, whatever, they are still beholden to these interests. So one person is going to have a real hard time, turning that battleship around because while he may not have any ties to this kind of stuff, all the other people around him, just because of the
Yeah.
nature of government, do have
yeah.
those ties, and they have a
Yeah.
vested
They got
interest in
their
maintaining those
Well,
ties.
you know what I mean? Like
mhm,
you remember that sentiment, right? Like that,
party.
oh, wouldn't it be great
Oh
if we had a
yeah,
Bill Clinton, but he wasn't like
Yeah.
owned by Tyson Chicken. And
it
it's
was
like,
the
and
Yeah.
then and
it was the
then and
appeal of
then that
Ross
guy came
Perot.
along and we were like, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. And no, we don't
Yeah.
Well,
want that guy. Like,
I think we're so tribal that if the roles had been reversed, the Democrats would have embraced him if he'd come out as a Democrat and wanted to run. It's we're so
yeah, you're
tribal
right.
now
Yeah,
that
you're right.
that's
You're
part
right.
of
Yeah.
it. It's all because he ran as a Republican. That's why he
That's a
he was
great
framed
point.
as Orange Hitler.
Right.
That's a great point. In a different
And he's
timeline, if
not even
like there,
orange.
I'm just
That
saying
is
what
that's
they
true.
say.
filtering.
I get it.
It's
Yeah.
filtering. House and Habit films him all the time. He is goldenly delicious. He's not orange at
Like an
all.
apple.
Not orange at all. He's just tan. It's
I
crazy
guess
how the
that's
media's made
another
him out to
reason
be
why,
orange.
like, I've held on to that sentiment. So that was another reason why when Trump came along, I was just like, oh, I don't care about locker room talk at all. I have every reason to invest in this guy in 2016 because it's like, hey, everybody, that's what we've been wanting. We've been wanting like, and we people would even say things like, even if it's just for 4 years, like, even if it's a bust, you know,
It's crazy to think
it
that
would
men that
maybe would like
powerful
break
aren't
things up.
that
And
way,
then
right?
and then
Yep.
we had it, and everybody's just like, nope.
But
But
it
you're
would take
right,
an
Russ.
American
Yeah, if
emperor with dictatorial powers in order to actually change things like that because
in a
it's just too diffuse. And
you're
I'm not
that's a
saying anything about that I want a dictatorial power. I'm just simply saying that's the thing. As I've had this conversation with a lot of folks is, there have been times when I said, it'd be nice to have somebody who can just make stuff happen. But the problem is that for every Marcus Aurelius you get a Commodus, a Nero, a Caligula on the other side of that. So that's where it breaks down. You're not going to
an
always have
Obama.
that statesman. Yeah, you're not going to have the statesman. You're going to end up with the charlatan.
Yeah.
But I also said that the greatest argument against democracy are the morons we keep sending to Congress.
Yeah. I think it's the human condition, really. I mean, like
Yeah, people
we
suck.
got a good, yeah, it's we're just emotional, flawed, really smart, really stupid. Like we can like switch on a dime.
And we definitely have some emotional people.
There's a
Um,
good line in Men in Black when Tommy Lee Jones says that
mhm.
what is yeah, always
A person is smart.
a person is smart, people are stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it.
Yeah. That's a great scene there.
That's absolutely accurate too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's a really good. I remember that scene because that's a really good line you could use for your kids
Yep.
to like make them to plant a seed, and you plant that's a seed that you plant and it grows real quick. They figure that out pretty quick. So, woo. So what else has been going on this week, Quana?
Gosh,
I
this week
know
has been.
we've been talking a lot about the political scene and Trump and what
Well, we
happened
found out that Hulk
Saturday.
Hogan
Like,
was, in fact, MAGA. I mean, that's kind of a big deal for me personally. Like, I grew up obsessed with Hulk Hogan, like, in love with Hulk Hogan.
Watching him rip
Ah,
his shirt off,
it was
watching him
so
rip his shirt
good.
off in the middle of the stage, I actually texted Coop and said, I cannot believe our
I
politics has
cried.
come to this.
I cried. I had a little tear.
Yeah, this has
Did
been
you
a
use your
it's been a
vitamins right
very
afterwards?
I've had a very like very a lot of emotional range this week, from like
Yeah,
Saturday to today to like minute by minute during Hulk Hogan's speech to where it's just like I
right.
cannot believe this is happening. Like maybe like I can't believe this is happening. This probably isn't good to like I can't believe this is happening. This is the best thing ever, to
Duality.
Crazy.
where's Evander Holyfield? Like what's up with him? Is he not MAGA?
I'm a little sad that 50 Cent didn't actually come and perform that song, right?
Yeah, Russell Brand. I mean, I was texting you guys, like you and Robbie and Manny, like Russell, like all of a sudden Russell Brand's on the floor of the RNC convention.
So great.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
speaking
meme
about
I've
people
seen
on the floor, what
online.
about the Secret Service agent that got chased by the Congress people? Like, why was she even there?
Yeah, that was the head
Did
of
you
the
see
Secret
that?
Service. That was the head
Did
of
you
the
see
Secret
that?
Service.
Was that
That's
at
what I'm
the was
saying.
that was at the convention?
Yes,
Yes.
on Wednesday night.
I
Marsha
assumed that
Blackburn
was
and somebody else was chasing her down, saying, "Hey, what's the deal with what happened on Saturday?"
Yeah, you gotta go.
wow. I assumed
Yeah.
that was like after they had the committee session and she left and they actually followed her out of the room.
No.
Like she actually showed up there. Oh,
Yeah.
Right? What?
this lady's dumber than I thought. Like,
Well,
wow.
we're watching Idiocracy become real life in real time.
Maybe Jill Burden was like, this chick is not going to protect me. I need to get her out of here. Let's promote her. Like, this chick's a liability.
I think one of the
Oh,
best
you called
memes
her
I've
She
Jill
seen
showed up
online in
there.
the last week has been a picture from sometime in the mid to late 80s of Hulk Hogan on one side of Donald Trump, and he's holding up the world championship belt. And the caption says, who would have thought in 40 years' time these two would be headlining the Republican National Convention and one of them would be going into his second term as president?
Right.
Bizarre,
Right.
bizarre
Yeah.
times. It is interesting that like the Republicans are really, I mean, obviously with the assassination attempt, like the Republicans are just falling. Everybody's just falling right in line. Anybody that was like on the outskirts and like Nikki Haley is just like, I love Trump now.
Yeah.
I love, I
Yeah.
always loved him. What are you talking
Little
about?
kids, little kids flipping off Joe Biden on the campaign trail. Like
I have not
the
seen that.
tides are turning. No, he said it. Joe Biden said
Yeah,
it.
he actually
Biden
said it.
said it. I would
He
have liked to
said
have
it.
seen that on video.
I would have liked to
I
have seen
want
it too, but he said that he's like, you can't believe it. Little kids are flipping me off.
Well, they probably just don't want him to sniff them.
I love
He's
Yeah.
got COVID now, so he can't sniff them anyway.
I mean,
Well, he did.
I always appreciated the fact that there were some little kids like me that were just like throwing snowballs at school buses and flipping off anybody that, any sign of
For
authority. But
sure.
like the
Yeah.
fact that Joe Biden noticed it,
Yeah.
because I assume that like Joe Biden's
And
just like keeping his,
remembers. And
he's
remembers.
asleep. I'm gonna say he's asleep or the windows are tinted and he can't see anything. But no, he actually saw the kids.
Now, and let's remember, Joe Biden also has some. He thought Corn Pop was a bad dude. I mean, and he was there for the
That's
civil
true.
rights
Yeah.
marches, and he graduated at the top of his class for law school. So
No,
let's
he
take
was
Joe
very
Biden
Well,
at
we don't
his
earnest.
have,
great.
He was very
we have
earnest.
film. We have
Yeah,
film of,
find
I'm
it.
sure there's pictures of kids flipping off
Come
Joe
on,
Biden. There's
man.
no film of corn pop.
Come on, man.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
joking around here.
No,
Anyway,
he said it was bad. He said it's bad. You can't believe it. The nature of these
yeah.
people, little kids flipping them off on the campaign trail.
Anyway, look, anyway.
You're doing Shogun mixed
No, that was Joe
Biden.
Biden.
That was Joe
Oh,
Biden
okay.
doing the voice where when he wants to be serious, he whispers really loud.
Look, Jack. Look, Jack. Anyway, I've been teaching my dogs, my dogs. Yeah, my dogs. No, I'm sorry. Just watching a lot of rap lately, but no, I only have one dog, one actual dog, canine. I've been teaching them all confused, but how to
What
sit,
is wrong
like
with you tonight?
teaching her how to sit and like do paw in
Yeah.
Japanese and in Shogun accent, like
Yeah. Not Japanese,
sit,
just
sit, 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 paw.
Russ has no idea what you're talking about,
Now Russ is
Christopher.
just wondering what
Oh, the other half
rabbit
of the
hole
two
I
grumpy
fallen down.
Russ is
bastards would
just like,
know
when am
if,
I going to
yeah.
bed? This is
Can we
ridiculous. What
swap
are we
out the
doing?
other? We got to swap out Coop, the other half of the two grumpy bastards podcast, because he is a big Shogun fan. He would know what I'm. He would
He would know what you're
understand what I'm
talking about.
saying.
Hey, the three of us got to team up on an interloper on his page last night.
The
Oh
three
yeah,
of
yeah,
us.
Yeah,
yeah.
somebody
Three of
What
was
was it?
us.
somebody came after Coop and was talking about how she thought that the assassination was staged and the poor misguided souls who got killed that were there, but they were misguided because they were supporting Trump. Um, and yeah,
These I really detest these people because they come into these
They're all
discussions with
ugly.
like, yo, she said something like, oh, you're just gonna ignore the likelihood that it was staged, like, because she's not really saying it was, she's trying to like say it was staged but not really say it was staged. She's saying the likelihood, and that's my question was like, what is the likelihood of it being staged based on, other than your craziness, like
my
that you're
favorite my favorite for people like that is when they get all offended, they get pushback. I'm like, honey, you voluntarily came here of your own
You
free
came
will
for it.
onto a page of somebody you don't know, and you're shocked and shaken that people are pushing back. Get a clue.
That's why
I
I
think
say
there are
everything
like a
with my
lot of
full
like,
chest.
yeah, there's a lot of crazy people out there, women and also men, as I can attest to
Oh yeah,
today.
everybody.
A lot of male
Yeah.
feminists out there that like come with that weird energy where they come in with like a lot of like insinuations and innuendo, not really speaking clearly. They use a lot of
Yeah.
weird adjectives. They change up what they say a little bit every time they come back at you. They kind of change the definition of what they're saying, and it's like,
That happens in the
I guess
call
they,
group.
I
I
guess they
see
just,
that.
I guess that's worked out for them. It's not, like that's like worked out
It
for
Yeah.
them
works
in
in their
some.
bubble, but then they actually encounter
Right.
people that aren't part of their bubble and they're shocked and
Yeah.
shaken. And since they've never had to talk outside their bubble before, they don't have a coherent argument. It's just all boils down to, well, I'm not going to explain it to you if you don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it doesn't really, in the end, it doesn't really work out for them because then they wind up not knowing anybody that can change a tire or like knows how to. Like they wind up in a situation of life where they don't have a lot of resources because they are crazy. But yeah, it's well, anyway, yeah, Coop's putting himself out there to the world.
Oh yeah, without question.
Yeah, and attracting them. That's why I was saying he should join that group that I joined by accident.
Oh boy.
The feminist group.
Yeah, like I saw, I mean, like Facebook was like, we think you would like this group, and it was intersectional memes and feminist dreams. And I was like, that
What
sounds,
have you been saying that makes the algorithm think you would like that group?
Right?
well, like just
And that
crazy
he's
meme
in there.
groups.
He's just in there, like
Yeah. And
jocking
I was
around with
like,
these
well, I
bitches.
mean, listen to that. I mean, that sounds hilarious. Like 10 years ago, that was hilarious. Like if you saw a group called intersectional memes and feminist dreams 10 years ago, you'd just be like, this has got to be some dude bros having
Yeah,
a
but
good
you
time.
joined it
Absolutely.
3 months ago.
And like 2024, it's not. It's a bunch of, as Rush Limbaugh calls them, feminazis. And I don't use that term lightly. Capital F.
They're
And
so
they
mean to
are,
him.
they're very mean. Yeah, they're really mean to me. Like I'm used
I'm
to it.
sure
I'm
you're
used to
crying
them
yourself
being
to
mean to
sleep
me.
every night.
I mean, it's a little confusing. I mean, mostly it's, yeah,
Breeder.
I'm like, yeah, yeah. I mean, they're just like, you're an incel, you're a breeder. It's like, which is it?
You're an incel and a breeder. Wow, that's
I
that's
know it's incredible.
kind of like you're an evil genius and a doofus.
It's amazing. I mean, that's why I understand Trump so well, because I am both these things at the same time. Oh yeah, they are really
So
mean.
funny.
It is kind of like, because I'm mean to people, but I'm not a bully because I wait for you to be mean to me first.
I'm
Like,
about the
and
same
maybe
way.
that makes me kind of maybe that makes me something else that's not good. But like I am, dangling out the bully fruit, and then you come at me, and then I get mean. But I don't really do it
Mm.
first.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are like
I
sometimes
wish I
I'm
could
like,
say me
dang,
too.
I was like,
It's like I've
I
said,
just
I have no problem. Look, I'm nice until you're not nice. But once you become a prick, it becomes my mission in life to prove I can be a bigger prick.
Yeah, I mean, I go from like, hey, I'm gonna make a little quip here that you know what I'm saying. Like I'm making a little dig to like they're
Yeah.
just like going full like
A little funny.
pedophile, like you're
Yeah.
like they're just going like full like you must worship the devil. Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Whoa, where did you make this leap here? I'm saying you're a little confused, and they're just like, you're an evil killer rapist. I'm like,
Hey,
whoa,
just
again,
because I
like that's
sacrificed a cat this morning, that doesn't mean that I worship Satan, okay?
they just go the meanest route possible. And I
Yeah.
loved it today. Yeah, somebody was like, I don't. Someone said they said something unhinged, obviously, and I was just like, I said something like, that's really not healthy. I
Center
try to keep
yourself.
it. I do try to keep it very like maybe I'm a doctor. Maybe I'm a doctor. You don't know me. Like maybe I'm just a doctor giving you health advice. And because I think the person said like, yes, I do wish that bullet would have like
Yeah, I saw what you
evaporated.
posted. Yeah.
And it's like,
I can't.
uh, and the
That's
person was like, I don't care what you say, what you think, breeder. Ha ha. Ha. And I was like, I love my children. Like, yes, I have bred. Like
I'm a breeder.
I'm a proud
Love breeding.
breeder.
I love
Like
breeding more than
I did.
anything.
I had to explain to this person that in our culture, in the breeder culture, like when we breed, we have
Yeah.
parties and like people give us
So
money and
magnificent.
like people bake cakes. They bake cakes. They do like crazy like
They
icing
give you
artwork with
gifts.
sweets. Yeah, they
Yeah,
give you like money. They give you gift cards. Like
totally.
you go to stores and they're just like, "Whoa, you're a breeder? Come over to this
Yeah.
computer and make a list of all the things you want, breeder, and
Yeah.
then send this list to all your friends, breeder." And they'll just like send you like babe wipe warmers and
Yeah.
like boxes of diapers. Like, yeah, I had to explain that in the breeder culture, breeder is
Pretty rad.
It's
welcome
not,
Pretty
to
all right.
it's not the name call that they think it is.
No, it's
yeah.
not. It's so
It's
crazy.
like, are you trying to hurt me? Because yeah, and then like minutes before I got on the show, that person came back with something really dark.
I gotta hear this.
I'm not gonna say it because it's like really dark. Like they suggested that. Well, I'll just say they suggested this person suggested that I homeschool my children, and then
Okay.
posted a meme about like terrible things that happen to kids at schools. And I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Wow.
What is
Okay.
wrong with you to
I do suggest you
like
homeschool your children, but
yeah, but it's like I would suggest
that's
that
where I would
other
stop, full stop.
hey, humans out there on the internet, like don't start talking shit like that and that like not me, but like like one out of 100 people that you talk like that to is going to look you up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Mike Tyson put it best when he said social media has made people way too comfortable with not getting
Yeah.
punched in the mouth.
I've been
It
hit in
wouldn't
my face more times than I care to admit, and I'm
it
telling
wouldn't
you
even be
what, you
like
cannot
a
believe how people talk online. It's unreal.
it's
They've never been hit in the face.
it's gone beyond that. I would say it's like people talk online as if they've never been put in a straitjacket and put into a padded room for 2 years. Like they talk like way beyond like, hey, your mama's fat. It's like they talk like, hey, you ever imagine your kids could be like what? Like it's really
A girl on
demented.
TikTok
It's really
that said
demented. When
all
they
of
get
these people are
angry, they
saying
get demented.
there's a girl on TikTok and all these people are saying, oh, she says she can find anybody's house from a single picture. And it's unreal how she finds people. Like she's like, oh, and then I went in here and I found this and there was a package and all the things. And basically she can find anybody. So yeah, let that be a lesson. Like maybe don't talk so much shit. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'd be more apt to like just send the person my address.
Yeah, I mean, my
Be
name's
home. I'm gonna be
Juana.
home
It's
all
pretty
weekend.
hard to hide me.
I'll
I'm
send her
gonna
a
be
picture. I'll
smoking a
send
pork
them
butt for
my
8. I'm gonna
address
be
and a
tied to
picture of
the
the
smoker in
arsenal
the
I have.
backyard.
I'll be
What's
like,
that?
show up to my house. I promise you a nasty surprise your next of kin will never forget.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. It's gone beyond like I'm gonna smack you. It's just like they just start suggesting all kinds of dark and demented. Like when these freaks they get angry, they get demented. Like they get real demented. They start talking about real weird sexual stuff.
You're like in a liberal group though. Like, so I'm not engaging with any people like that, I don't think, because I'm mostly in
Well,
like
again, it
the
was an accident,
pro
but then like
and a cat
I
group.
joined I joined that group, and because I think I told y'all like probably
Yeah.
within a few hours of it happening, like that I'd stepped in something that I'd gone into like a different
And
universe.
now, and you could leave at any time, but you're
But
immersed.
I can't because I can't
What's an
like
accident?
I've said it
Invite us
before.
in so we can have your
Okay.
back in the comments.
Oh, I told Coop to come in because
Oh
he would just tear
God.
it up in there, tear it up. He would
I
tear it
would
up.
pay to see that.
I
Yeah.
swear to God, like if Coop
Ladies
joined
don't
that
like those
group,
kind of ladies don't like me either. So let me in. I'm ready.
well, I guarantee if Coop joined that group, he would get 100 death threats and like 10 like probably DMs with naked ladies because I think there's a percentage of those whack jobs that are like looking for some hardcore
Drawn
dude.
to crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're just like I hate you. You want to meet later?
Yeah.
How you
Uh,
doing?
That's some
like how
angry
dare you
sex.
tell me what to do with my body? Hey, would you like to come over later and tell me what to do with my body? There's a percentage of those types in there. But I couldn't leave because like I'm not I'm very serious. I like to make people laugh. That comes from a place where I like to see people happy. I don't care if you think like me, look like me, whatever. I like to see people like humans, like enjoying life, making something, eating something, laughing about something,
Yeah.
building whatever. I really like that. So like it disturbs me that how unhappy these people are in
Yeah.
this group and how it disturbs me how they try to be unhappy. Everything is like a negative twist on something that makes like most of humans happy. Like everything is like that. That's like so. Like I watch it, I look at that group, and I stay in the group because I want to protect my daughters from ever becoming that way, from ever like looking at the world like their prey.
See,
I
Because
tell
they
my kids that all
that's
the
a
time.
good.
It's all a
They're all they
choice.
have
You can
such a
choose
they
it.
have such
Choose
a
happiness.
prey. They have such a prey mentality.
well, they're on.
It's like how you would imagine like deer going out into a field. Like everything's like, oh my God, everything's coming, like everything's a threat.
Well, they're unhappy, and therefore they want to make everyone else unhappy, so that they can feel like they belong to something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
subconsciously or consciously or
It's
subconsciously. Yeah,
conscious.
that's definitely
It's conscious.
yeah. It's like it's both because yeah and yeah. Someone said something like I think I posted on our group. They posted a meme, a quote by some supposed doctor, like a Dr. Jill type that said, I don't, it bothers me when people say things like I'm blessed or
Yeah, I saw that.
when they win or awarded something because it implies that the person that didn't win is not blessed and God loves them less. It's like, oh my goodness.
Right.
Like who did this to you? Like who,
Yeah.
yeah, who, like someone did something to that person at a young age that made them look at everything as a predator. Like every idea, everything, every actual predator, and then every actual like social construct they see as a predator to them. It's very sick.
Well, it's empowering for
Ooh.
some folks to feel like a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I get, yeah.
Nothing's
That,
their fault, and people should adore them.
well, it
But
provides
then,
an energy, I guess, a mission in some ways. If people feel
yeah,
like, because people are desperate for some kind of mission, there's safety in numbers. So if you can find more victims and like get more people to call themselves victims, then it's like, man, you got a freaking club on your hand.
That's why they are
Um,
so in love with Donald Trump because it makes them 100%. Oh, he'll grab my pussy. He's gonna make me a handmaid's tale. He
yeah, it's
raped
like,
women. He blah blah blah. Like
oh
it
yeah,
just
like
it
what would they?
builds in the victim mentality. It builds it in. Like
What
It's
would they be
disgusting.
doing? What would they be doing right now if it was like DeSantis versus Biden and
Oh,
there wasn't like this?
DeSantis would be worse than Trump.
Oh,
Well, I
worse.
do believe that. I do believe that they would have like a lot of like bogus stuff about DeSantis being, like at a Satan cult, like they
The
would
worst
just,
thing they had for him was his high heels.
yeah, they would be like, well, but his high heels, he bought his high heels from a Satan worshiper. So we got to dig deeper. Oh, who's also Russian?
Now,
Yeah.
he bought his high heels from Trump.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they're made
They
in
were definitely
America.
gonna.
That's all we need to know about his fucking boots.
Okay, yeah. It doesn't really help my joke or point, but like, yeah, they would definitely make him worse than Trump. But it's like, but what if it was like some normie versus normie?
Yeah,
Like, where would all like the victim, like, where would they find that victim great, like, what is it?
right.
When was the last time we
Gratiation,
had
like,
a normie
ingratiate, like,
versus normie?
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like we keep these people up there so that we can stay manic. Maybe all of
right.
us do that in some way. Like
Maybe a
we
young
kind of we
VP
make
is what we
sure that
need,
our
though, you know?
most, yeah.
Yeah, the last time we
Maybe
had
maybe
normies
it'll
versus each other was probably 1980 with Reagan versus Carter.
right, right.
Yeah, so like what if that was the case? So like where would people put all these weird, crazy 2024 like quasi sexual like weird like
But
The
they do it
police
anyway.
hate
just like
us. All of the
there's
things
just
that
like
they've
such
created that it's like the world's against everyone. Like it's so crazy because when you go in the streets, it's not really that's not really what's
yeah,
happening.
that's true. Yeah, it is like an
Police aren't charging me.
it's like a yeah, like a malfunctioning of like a I don't know.
The media is
I don't know
feeding
what'll
it.
end it though. Like what, as we wrap up our show, like what's gonna like I said it earlier, like famine, like a total power outage for weeks, months,
Maybe.
famine,
I
like
Maybe.
hope they weren't trialing that today with the Microsoft, whatever that
No,
was. Like,
I think that was Homer Simpson made the wrong keystroke. Is like, let's put this out on a Friday and see what happened.
I hope so, but
well,
the fact that it's a Microsoft breach, like, hello, that's Bill Gates. Like, why
Yeah, but
is
Bill
all
Gates
of
has
our
got
systems based on fucking Microsoft?
yeah, but Bill Gates has got no
What?
or
interest.
CrowdStrike, real or yeah.
Yeah, Bill Gates has
Yeah.
got no interest in every computer around the world going down because that's how he makes his money.
All right.
I think the real
When
the
they replace
real
Kamala, we'll have this conversation again. I'm just
I
kidding.
think the real danger is like our leaders in America and in the world, we keep and it's just again, it's part of the human condition. Like we keep allowing monopolies. So like the real problem is not that a mistake happened because like mistakes like that happen on a small scale all the
Yeah.
time. So a university decides to update um, the software on their HPs because there's a security threat. And well, it happened like I sell software that runs on HPs and they didn't test it, so it broke it. So like a university system would be down, we can't print for like I don't know, a day or something. So those things happen all the time, but it's like, well, it's just one little university because there's thousands of universities. So there's still a lot of learning and stuff going on.
Yeah, so who
But the
cares?
real
Yeah.
danger is like when like every goddamn company in the world is using CrowdStrike and Microsoft, and there's no
Right.
competitors and there's no other options. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's yeah,
Well,
we're
and
putting
it
ourselves
does
in big
make it
trouble.
vulnerable, does make it vulnerable to one idiot in a cubicle
Yeah,
somewhere making a mistake.
yeah. Like that's isn't it like this is part of the reason why we wanted to break up monopolies and like the theory, like why like some person like me that has very little formal education like understands the why you don't want monopolies. Like
Yeah,
Why
and
you
if
it's
don't
we
want
not
Bill
think
just
that
Gates
because
owning all your farmland?
it's not just because an oil baron is going to have a huge top hat. It's because like there's a philosophy behind it. Like you don't
yeah,
like it's bad. It's bad that
well,
everyone uses the same train company or the same gasoline if one idiot, in the supply chain can,
well, and if
bad.
we think China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea aren't taking notes on what happened today,
Oh,
I mean,
geez.
Lord knows they're like, oh, so that's how you do that.
They've had to
Yeah,
hire
China
more note
was right on
takers. They've
our
had to recruit. They've had to like, they've had to create new sweatshops for note takers. Oh, no. all our mistakes are just like we need to open up a new sweatshop to keep track of all these bonehead mistakes that, yeah, yeah, that's like obviously in the famine I'm talking about needs to happen to them too. Like
Yeah,
real
not
important
just
that
for
this
us.
famine is worldwide, or else we're going to get dominated. Um, well, I think I'll stop talking,
Pretty
but
dark. I was gonna say that's pretty dark on a Friday
we're going to
night.
be
I
none
gotta
of
sleep
those
at some point this
countries,
weekend.
none of the, oh, yeah, here's what's going to let you sleep. None of those
Okay.
countries want to really want to really attack us because
China boats were in
we're
Alaska and Russian boats are in Miami. Like, yes, they do.
right. But
Yes, they
why?
actually do.
China, oh, China would be like, no, you don't, Russia. Are you kidding me? Like if you attack the United States, all my like half of my I'm gonna have like a billion poor people in six
Yeah,
months, like trying to kill me. Like, no, no,
it's
no,
true.
you got to keep these tax cattle working.
Buying the Timu.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
the
okay,
fact
it's
that
fine. Like you're allowed to scare them every now and then with a crowd strike outage, but like for the most part, you need to keep these first world suckers working and paying taxes because they have these weird because they're also like doing these weird like they're like the United States is just printing money
and they give us money,
and
yeah.
just like giving it to everybody. So, and if they keep like we don't have to, so like let these fools keep running up their credit card. Like let this guy keep running up his credit card
But
at the
aren't they all
bar.
signing off away from that standard of money? Like our money's not gonna matter. Like, isn't that a
Yeah,
thing
they're
too?
Right.
realizing they don't need to attack us. They
Yeah.
don't need to physically lay a finger on us. They're just going to make us subservient over time if we don't
But
wake up.
it's also a matter of how it's very, very hard for them to lay a finger on us beyond an initial blow.
Mhm.
Sustaining a war requires supply lines, lines of communication.
Yeah.
The Russians couldn't even deploy massive force to Syria. They're having
Yeah.
trouble getting into Ukraine, which is right next door, and China doesn't have enough rowboats to cross the Taiwan Strait right now. They're
Yeah,
not
they're
coming.
100% they're at war with us, but they're 100% invested in I don't know what the fancy word for it is, but
It,
like
it's economic and cultural, is what it is.
yeah, like that it's a cultural war and it's encouraging us to be as incompetent as we can,
Oh yeah.
because you know,
Well, I've said, if there's got to be, some kind of outside force is part of why we are confusing men and women right now, and why we're
I think
you
so.
know making our kids stupid.
That's the
There's
fall of every civilization though, right? Like that the men and women kind of get blurred, the sexual lines get blurred, like
I
at
know
the
it happened in
end.
Rome. I know it
Yeah.
happened in Rome. I don't know about some of the other stuff, but it if you want to bring down the United States, you got to do it. It's the whole helmet Zemo line from Captain America: Civil War. You don't attack an empire from without, but if you can get them to attack each other,
Yeah. Race war.
Yeah, or like like Abraham Lincoln, was it Abraham Lincoln talking about a nation divided? Just
the
that's
house
I mean
divided
that's
against
that is
itself cannot stand.
we're there. We're like already past that point. So I don't know what's going to
Well,
happen to.
I think World Wars One and Two, and then a big part of the Cold War kept us from dividing before now because we had common enemies. Like you
Yeah.
said, if we have a common enemy, some kind of massive disaster, that might do it again.
Well, I have hope. I have a little bit of hope. I think it may be ridiculous. It may be misguided. I may be wrong. I may be too hopeful, but like I think that Donald Trump is the kind of guy, kind of person that looks at the situation like we need to create win-win situations around the world where everybody feels like they're winning and progressing and able to like raise their families and have kids and live their life the way they want and stop with the whole um like like Russia and the United States and Ukraine can both be very prosperous. Like this whole thing in Ukraine's happening because certain sides like want all of it. Like it can be a win-win. Like we can, and it's gonna be when Trump takes office. He's gonna.
It'll be interesting to see
Because
how that
I
plays
don't think
out.
anybody involved in that wants it to go on much longer. Everybody's tired. So to Trump's benefit, I think by the time he takes office, they're all going to be ready to like make a deal. So
I think it's very dangerous between now and next January 20th, because if you're China looking to take Taiwan, or if you're Russia wanting Ukraine or something, you got to move now because
Yeah, I
it's going to
can't
be
believe that.
over
Yeah.
once Trump
I
takes
can't believe
office.
it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Quan. Yeah, there's so much going on that maybe once a day or so I'll come back to
Think about
I'll like
Taiwan.
I will think about like, oh, yeah, I can't believe they haven't taken this yet. Like,
Yeah,
I guess it'll be tomorrow because it's like, why would like you or I guess if China doesn't take Taiwan in the next, what does that tell us? That like maybe they don't really want to disrupt things that much. I don't
But
know.
either that, or they just don't. They understand they don't have the capability or capacity to.
Yeah, maybe they don't. Or you would think they would have the capacity to at least do step one, but stage
right.
two would be pretty could be get could they would be very worried
Well,
about
maybe
that
they
going
see
on.
how Ukraine because it was talked about a lot more like at the beginning of the Ukraine stuff. Like if they did that, then it would lead to that.
That
But
is, I
maybe now that
guess,
they're seeing like that what's happening there, and then Israel came in and started their war. So I mean, it's like,
Yep. I
I
do
think
we
do
really have
see the
enough money for all
pro
these wars? So maybe we chill
I I
until
I do see the pro Ukraine people making that argument that like by printing billions and just throwing it at Ukraine, we're sending the message to China that our credit card is, they're basically saying our credit card is unlimited. And it's
yeah,
like, I guess
well,
that,
if China wants to do something, they're not gonna directly invade Taiwan right now. They don't have the capacity resources for that. What they would do is they'd form a limited blockade around Taiwan and see what we do, and see how we react.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are we
Right
willing to
before
send
nine
Chinese
11,
warships for it?
do you remember right before 9/11? Um, yeah, like right before, like maybe a few months before, there was an international crisis because, well, we had like one of our,
Spy
uh,
plane. It was in August
spot,
of 2001.
yeah, like one of our planes went into Chinese territory. Like they made some contact. I think some Chinese
It
people, like
bombed.
some Chinese pilots died. And then they had like that was like an international crisis where it's like, holy shit, the US and China, it's about to go down. Like they got our servicemen over there like held captive. And I guess some of theirs died. And then I guess it kind of got diffused, and then 9/11 happened. And then it was people forgot about that. But that was
I
I
remember
remember
that.
being pretty worried about that.
It was supposed to be Bush's first real foreign policy test.
Yeah. I remember being pretty worried about like, well, how's that? Because because prior to that, it was a lot of the conventional political talk, geopolitical talk was just China versus US, China versus US. So,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the Middle East was like, we're still here. We're still here. We're ready to play. Anyway, any parting thoughts for us?
No, it's going to be a wild few months.
Yeah.
I think the most dangerous part for our country, assuming Trump wins, most dangerous time is going to be between the election day and the inauguration.
Yeah. There are so many movies and miniseries that are gonna happen between now and then, like with the whole like what's gonna happen with Biden and
yeah.
Kamala and man, yeah, that's gonna be
That's a whole other soap opera.
just the next month until the DNC convention when they have to
Yeah.
actually. Or no, there's like an
Is that till
electronic roll
August 7th?
call.
Because August 7th, they're doing a virtual roll call because they didn't want to miss the nominating deadline in Ohio.
I still think Biden's gonna just run out the clock. That's what I
I
think.
do too.
I
I
agree,
think it'll
but
be till after the convention and then they're gonna squeeze Gavin in. I know you don't agree with me, but I think
no,
Gavin is getting squeezed in.
Oh,
they are not going to
afterwards.
replace a black woman with Gavin Newsom. It's
Keep
just not going
saying
to
it.
happen.
I'm glad that we have it on recording because you've only said I just set you up. I can't.
You can set me up. I'm not wrong.
I
Okay.
think the
All
best the
right.
best argument for Biden staying in is that all the other people like Gavin Newsom, as dumb as he is, like he realizes that he has a much better shot against anyone else in 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
in 2028, that's going to be the next free for all. Although I'll be honest, the one that I think can really do something on the Democrat side is Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania.
yeah, he needs to, yeah. He seems
Um,
very reasonable. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm not sure
Very
Gavin's
normal.
going to try to build the capacity, but I'm not sure Gavin
I
can
don't know
win
how
in
he
the early
can.
states that he would need to build momentum.
But even the Shapiro guy's young, so he's like, why do it now against Trump and bring Trump on me and my family when I could just
Yeah,
go
he'll wait
against
till
some,
28.
yeah.
Him, Whitmer, Andy Bashir, they're going to wait till 28. I think Biden's going to be on the ticket if for no other reason than Jill Biden doesn't want to give up that power. She's Edith Wilson right now. She does not want to give up the presidency, and it's going to take an act of God to get Biden out one way or the other. And there's really nothing they can do unless Biden himself decides to leave. There's no legal
Yeah.
mechanism they have.
Unless
Yeah,
it's
I think
after the
he's in a position where
convention.
he can
There's
just,
some sort of legalese where they can
oh, that's
literally
right.
put
Yeah.
somebody else in after the
Yeah, but
convention.
all of the delegates are pledged to Biden right
I
now.
understand that. I
Um, it,
understand.
I don't. If they do that, they introduce that kind of chaos. Trump will win 400 electoral votes.
Yeah, I think they would
Mhm.
have because they have to pledge to someone, and then you're gonna have a bunch of people on the Democrat side saying, "Don't pledge to me because I don't really want a piece of Trump. I don't really want to get into this." Like, no,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think yeah, it would the only person, and everybody says she doesn't want it because she doesn't want to give up the cushy lifestyle. But the only
Big
person they could
Mike.
legitimately swing in there with, without causing
Swing.
all kinds of mass chaos, would be Michelle Obama.
He said swing. I gotta go.
yeah,
That's it. That's a wrap for me. He said
I gotta
swing
think like
in.
Swing.
even yeah, even her like I don't see her as someone that really is thinking about saving the American civilization on a day-to-day basis. Like I think that you know what I mean? Like that's like at least Gavin Newsom or Whitmer, those people, they're like always talking. Like Michelle Obama doesn't seem like she really cares that much to where she's willing to
It
be
is not
called
her.
big. She's not really
It's not
willing to
her.
be
He's
called
thinking
Big
black
Mike
on
for
black.
four
He thinks that
years.
like
Like
a
that's
black
not.
woman can't be replaced.
No,
That's crazy. Absolutely, a black woman can be replaced.
no, because it would
I
cost them
think
black. It would cost them the black vote. If they don't win
they've already,
90%
I
of the
think
black
they
vote,
know
they
they've
can't
already
win.
lost. I think they know that that's already swaying.
Now,
Like in
black look, they may have lost a lot of black men, but black women are a central pillar of the Democratic Party. They cannot lose black women because they will never win another election.
I think there's
Mhm.
something in the middle here where if I was them, I would be thinking let's switch to Kamala because she's not going to beat Trump, but she will bring a certain demographic back to the Democrat Party that we really need, just as Russ was just saying. And at least we won't get clobbered in like the congressional races and Senate
Yeah,
races. But everybody's guess is as good as anybody's at this point. The best, oh yeah. So I said that like that all those other people don't want to run because they don't want to shoot their shot. But someone else, I heard someone else say that, well, that's not really how Democrat politics works. It's a machine. And if someone says, hey, Gavin,
step up,
this is your
bitch. And
shot.
he's
This
already
is your
been laid out.
shot,
He was in
buddy.
China 3 months
Yeah.
ago.
If someone says to Gavin, like, yeah, you might not, but we don't care.
He's in.
If you don't run now, we will like all the bad news stories about California are going to get a lot worse. And so they're not like
Like anyone in this country doesn't know what's happening in
they're
California. It's
bad.
all
but
over.
that's that. They're what they would do if, God forbid, something did happen with Biden. They're gonna bring in Kamala because they don't think they can win this time. So what they would do is
I
she
think
would be
that's
the
right.
quote unquote sacrificial lamb, and then every Democrat, including Gavin Newsom, and the others, would start running on January 21st of 2025.
I think you're right. And I think Kamala, it would be an easy sell to her because she's got to be feeling like I'm pretty
Oh, this is
lucky
her
to be
only. It's
here
the
in the
only way she
first
get the
place.
nomination.
Yeah. She's pretty got to feel like she's pretty lucky to be where she is in the first place. So it's like, well,
She
what else do you want to do? Just get thrown out? Like, cause yeah, she would have to run.
there's nobody else for her to get in bed with in order to make it to the top. That's how she
I tell
got.
you
That's how she got
what,
her start anyway with Willie Brown.
I think that that might not work because she might get work clobbered even worse than Biden. And it's going to be it would be a lot funnier because yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
bad.
but do you really want to
Anyway.
listen to that laugh for the next 4 or 5 months?
Nobody does. That's why it could be worse. Like the laugh is worse than dementia. Like her cackle. is worse than Joe Biden's
Yeah, I mean,
dementia.
how many speeches we get about Venn diagrams and electric school buses and how
Like,
the realization of the now versus what the realization of has been was and all that other crap she likes to spew.
yeah, I almost want it to happen because it would be funny. It would be funny watching. It probably would be pretty funny watching her lose her train of thought like I am on the stage.
It'd probably be apropos given how crazy the political season's already been.
Yep. All right. I think we might have lost Quana.
We probably
We
did.
better wrap it up. We tried to wrap it up a few times, but man, we could talk all night. I really
Yeah, thanks,
appreciate you
Mark. We
being
could
here,
talk all
man.
night. I'm old and I have to go to bed.
Yeah, me too. Really appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. Appreciate your knowledge and wisdom, buddy.
All right, good to talk to you, Chris. It's always
All
a
right.
pleasure. It's one of, you both are the one of the biggest reasons I like to come to the Friday night pre-party.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Yeah. Same to you, buddy.
Yeah, even if
Take
I can't
care.
make it all the time, when I can, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, we always love it when you do, man. Have a good night.